Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take, well, stacks of your sources, articles, notes, research you've gathered, and we pull out the really important bits, the key insights. It's basically your shortcut to getting up to speed, tailored just for you, so you walk away with those surprising facts, those aha moments, without feeling, overwhelmed. Today, we're diving into Liane Moriarty's novel, Here One Moment. It's definitely thought-provoking, and based on the reviews, the reader feedback, the themes you flagged, our mission here is to unpack its pretty unique premise. We want to explore its philosophical side and help you get why it's causing such a stir, especially around those big questions, fate versus choice. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, picture this. You're on a flight, it's delayed, you're just doing your thing, maybe scrolling through your phone, and then suddenly someone just stands up and starts predicting, like, with total certainty exactly when and how everyone on that plane is going to die. That's the setup for Here One Moment. Pretty unforgettable.
Oh, absolutely. That premise just hooks you immediately, doesn't it? The novel really centers on this death lady, Cherry, right, on a flight from Hobart to Sydney. And as her predictions start, well, actually coming true, tension just ramps up. Is fate fixed? Or can people maybe change things? It makes you ask right away, what would you do in that situation?
Right. And that's where it gets really interesting because the story doesn't just stay with Cherry. Moriarty jumps between Cherry's own backstory. Turns out she's the daughter of a fortune teller, which adds a whole layer. And then you get all these different perspectives from the passengers. There's a flight attendant, a worried parent, a retired nurse, a father who's just received terrible news. Lots of people. She's really praised for making these characters feel, well, very real, relatable, even in this crazy situation.
That emotional depth, that realism, that definitely comes through as a strength in the reviews you shared. You see characters facing mortality, and it changes them, sometimes profoundly. But that raises a point, too, doesn't it? While lots of readers love that depth, some also mention, well, with dozens of perspectives, it can sometimes get tricky keeping track. Names blurring, maybe losing the main thread a little. Did you see that come up much in your notes?
Yes, definitely. That's a recurring comment in the reader reception notes you provided. It's a balancing act, I suppose. But moving beyond just the immediate drama and the characters, this book really digs into the big stuff. It tackles free will versus determinism, basically. Are our lives mapped out, or do we make our own choices? And Moriarty throws this huge curveball in. How do people react when they supposedly know the exact details of their death? Do they just give in or fight back?
And what's really clever, I think, is how she shows that knowing your fate isn't always liberating. Sometimes it just highlights how you were already sort of making choices that led you there. It complicates that simple fate or choice idea. Looking at the bigger picture, it's not just about the predictions themselves. It's about the whole emotional journey, the fear, the grief, but also reconciliation, maybe even some healing. And Moriarty mixes that heavy stuff with her usual wit, that warmth. The real takeaway isn't some neat answer about fate. It's more about acceptance, maybe. But acceptance as a conscious choice, finding meaning, even if you know the ending. She suggests the freedom is in how you live the journey, not necessarily changing the destination.
That's a great point. Now, practicality-wise, for anyone thinking of reading it, it is, as your notes point out, a pretty substantial book, around 500 pages. And Cherry's flashbacks, while they definitely add to her character, some readers found them a bit slow, maybe repetitive at times.
Yeah, the pacing is definitely something people talk about, that middle section where events are revisited from different viewpoints. Some find it really builds suspense, adds layers. Others feel, well, it bogs things down a bit with the repetition. So that structure, how she tells the story, it really affects the reading experience. It's something you'd want to keep in mind depending on what you like in a book.
So putting it all together,
Yeah.
how was it actually received? And, is it the right book for you, our listener? The reviews and reader comments, like the ones you highlighted, they're quite mixed, or at least varied. On Amazon, it gets about 4.3 out of 5 stars. People often call it twisty, suspenseful.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pacing critique pops up there too.
Exactly. You see that pattern. The Guardian, for instance, loved the premise, but felt the execution was maybe a bit too orderly and sanitized, kind of underwhelming for them. But then Rating Nook gave it 4 stars. They called it enjoyable, though slightly drawn out, liking the mystery even with the complex structure. And others, like Go Bookmart, they praise the character work, the deeper themes, but again, they often mention the pacing. So yeah, it splits people based on that structure.
It really sounds like it's perfect for readers who love that blend of emotional suspense and character drama. And anyone who enjoys mulling over those big life and death questions seems especially good for book clubs, right? Lots to discuss: moral dilemmas, character changes, and that classic, what would you do?
That's a key takeaway, I think. If you want a really tight, fast thriller, maybe this isn't it. The length and the multiple viewpoints might feel a bit heavy. But if you enjoy narratives that unfold slowly, that make you think, stories with moral weight, then Moriarty's latest really delivers something quite profound. Overall, it seems to land somewhere between, say, 3.5 and 4 stars out of 5, depending on how you feel about that layered style and the pace. It definitely delivers on that gripping premise, though. It weaves together emotion, complexity, and those sharp little observations about life and death.
So it seems like Here One Moment really leaves you thinking. It's less about knowing your fate and more about the choices you make and how you actually live.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. If you really truly knew the exact details of how and when your life would end, how would that change how you live right now? Would it lead to, I don't know, acceptance? Or would it spark this fierce desire to somehow defy it, to rewrite what seems set in stone?
Interesting question. So what stood out most to you from this deep dive into Liane Moriarty's Here One Moment? We hope this gave you a good, quick handle on the book and maybe sparked some new thoughts. Until next time, keep diving deep.